Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown!
Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three in.
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. It is a Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point. Welcome here, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. As always, looking forward to another great show, another great lineup on tap. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic will join us. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indianapolis Star, and Rick Bozich, Hall of Fame writer from WDRB.com. Also, plenty to get to, Indy 500. Alec Lassie, it's his birthday. Congratulations, happy birthday to Alec from the Hoosier.com. I bet you didn't know that, John. I just happened to see it on.
Know how old is our dear friend Alec?
You know what? You're asking now questions that are beyond my my depth of knowledge. I do not know.
I bet he's. Man, I can't think if I'm highballing here or lowballing, but my instinct says 31 or 32.
I'm gonna go with less than that.
Yeah,
like 20. Yeah, doesn't matter, but yeah, less than that. Making sure with anyone else that I have seen on here that didn't want to miss. But yeah, happy birthday, Alec. However old you are. Happy birthday to everybody. Whoever's having a birthday today. Somebody else is, right? Yeah. Don't forget the All-Star game coming up here in how far away is that now? 3 weeks? Probably 3 weeks from this weekend without looking at a calendar. Indiana, Kentucky All-Star game coming up, that games that'll take place, or actually a multitude of games. You've got the typical Indiana, Kentucky games will take place in Owensboro, Kentucky, and Southport High School for Indiana on that Friday and Saturday. But during that week, the Indiana and Kentucky juniors are going to play. That's taking place at Bedford, I believe. And then the Indiana juniors are playing the seniors, and I think that's taking place at Mount Vernon if I don't have them reversed. I hope not. But that's coming up. We're still a few weeks away. So we'll get that all out to you. Make sure if you're looking to go to that, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Also, which is even further away, probably a month away, but Jordan Hull's Never Lose Hoop golf outing coming up. You can go to thehoosier.com, whether you have an account or not. And it's at the top of all of the message boards. There's a link there, Eventbrite link, that you can sign up. You can donate. You can become a whole sponsor. And if you're putting a team together, you can just sign up individually and put who your team is in the notes or whatever. But was talking about that yesterday with some guys getting my team together. They're like, whose team are you on? I'm like, man, I haven't had a time to even think about that. I've been doing everything else. But looking forward to that as that rolls around. June 23rd, but go ahead and get signed up now. Is going to be a heavy IU presence there. I don't want to say too many specific names. Cody Zeller's, I think he's playing in the event. Of course, the Indiana coaches going to be there, probably not playing in the event, but be there afterwards, because that is the final last day of the day camp, which will conclude while we're actually playing. But we're going to see who else is going to be show up. I know a lot of former players are going to be playing in this, so great opportunity to get out and have a great day of fun. First of all, it's a great cause, as everything goes towards Never Lose Hoop, which benefits area kids with cancer. So get signed up for the Never Lose Hoop golf outing of Jordan Hull's. and you can just go to that Eventbrite link that's on there that I showed you. Let's see, let's get that put away. How's everybody else doing? How's your day going? What's new, John? And what's coming up this weekend? I'll be here Friday. I will not be here tomorrow personally. I'm taking a few days over this Memorial Day weekend to try to sneak some in. But tonight is Huber's. I had to change my plans because I had forgotten about that. So I had to rebook everything. We'll be going down to Starlight, Indiana, down to Huber's Winery for tonight's annual event with the IU Varsity Club that's taking place down there. My old athletics director, Les Wright, is highly involved with the varsity club down there, of course, and you've got Mark Deal. I'm sure he'll be there, but you're going to have Mike Woodson, Tom Allen. I think Terry Moore will be there. I'm not sure whom or if anyone else. We'll be meeting with them prior to, so we'll have more of that again this week. So you'll be hearing from both of those coaches. But that's an event that had gone away because of COVID, but is returning, and it's sold out. So if you have any indication of the popularity, if it's slowly to come back, no, it's sold out. Which I'm trying to remember. It's about 1,000 people, I think, that Huber's holds there. So looking forward to getting back down there. That's my old stomping ground. So I'm looking forward to getting back down there as well this evening.
Another thing we don't want to forget to mention, our friends down in Evansville, they hired a new basketball coach, finally, David Ragland.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah, I had missed that. But for those of you, our friends listening on the Ref, 97.7 WREF, that's been a saga that has kind of drug out. And it actually became a saga. I didn't expect that they were going to fire Licklider. I'm going to be honest with you. But it all started, unfortunately, with McCarty. So hopefully they can climb out of this. I hate to see anybody go through it, but especially a school like Evansville, not a great school in a great area. But he is a native, 41-year-old, hired Tuesday. He is the 9th head coach in Evansville's Division I program history. A graduate of Evansville Harrison. Same place Calvert Cheney went. He went to USI and was also a finalist the last time they conducted their search. And I'm sure they wish they would have hired him the first time around. But 2 coaches later now, he's headed that way. So surely it's a dream for him, even though he went to USI, still from that area, obviously growing up there. He grew up in that city. So, and Evansville's got a great basketball heritage. And it's a great sports town, period. And I'm not talking about just your typical sports, man. I have to check to see. I'm sure they do still have the hydroplane races. Down there, that was Madison and Evansville, man. Every summer when I was growing up, it was just such a huge event. The regattas on the river, and then my last TV sports anchor position, oddly enough, I remember going to the Evansville Regatta the weekend before leaving to go to Washington State, because as I was arriving out in Washington, the hydroplane circuit was moving, I think, from Evansville to the place where I was going in Washington. It was the next stop on the tour, which was odd, but pretty cool. But yeah, Evansville getting a new coach, so congratulations to them. So that gives a lot of new big teams in the state. Evansville, Ball State, brand new coaches this season. Butler, there's 3, and Indiana is just 1 year away. So 4 of the 6 biggest schools in this state, all with brand new basketball coaches within the last 2 seasons, but mostly within the last season. Of course, with Thad Matta going back to Butler. So now you've got Michael Lewis at Ball State, Thad Matta at Butler, and now Evansville with their brand new head coach, David Ragland, and Indiana, Mike Woodson, of course, being 1 year into the job. Mike Bray and Matt Painter, the elder statesman in the States. Let's see. Coming up this weekend, the Indianapolis 500 and the Charlotte, it used to be the Coca-Cola World 600. Same day, Memorial Day weekend. Don't forget to salute the soldiers that have made life available for us. And thank you guys. Before I forget, even though it's not Memorial Day weekend, it's quite yet. I don't want to even forever forget. That's thank you for the sacrifice. For those of you that anybody of our listeners that have served in the military in any capacity or in any frontline position, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Man, I'm looking forward. Big plans this weekend. What do we got going? Yeah, I know, Ross. Cubs win. I meant to look that up. How bad have things gotten for the Reds as they lose yesterday, 11-4 to the Cubbies, who I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The Reds are the new Cubs, unfortunately, and that is the truth. But the thing is, the Cubs always had a shot to climb out because they're in Chicago. They're in the third largest city in the country. Cincinnati's in that small market. And with the ownership, I don't know how they're ever going to climb out of that. So
Forrest beat you to it. He shows 12-30.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to pull up the entire everything. Yeah, the Reds are, let's see, 14 and a half games back. That is the absolute most in Major League Baseball. I thought they were going to make a little run. They won some games, but yeah, it's not looking good. It is what it is. But it's really sad when you give up on a team like the second day into this year, but that's the case. But up the top, Yankees, they're leading. Minnesota Twins, how about that? I'm sure Pete's happy with that. The White Sox, man. Boy, we talked to Rick Bozich about that today. Cleveland Guardians, I can't say that. Oh, the Tigers, they're, you know what? They're not much better than the Reds. Detroit has won 14 games. That's two more than Cincinnati. Cincinnati is only like a game. They're one game less than the Nationals. They're maybe two games worse than Kansas City and Detroit. So, man, they could not be the suckiest team in baseball. They worked at it a little bit harder. Yeah, if the Reds could play the Cubs all the time, that would be just wonderful. The Reds are, I think they're done for life. I'm serious. I'm like, unless there's a change, how is that ever going to be different? I just think they can't afford it. Hey, we got to take a break. Speaking of Bob Kravitz from The Athletic, he'll be joining us next. He's got a nice piece out on Trace Jackson Davis. We'll talk about that and plenty more as the Indianapolis 500 is rolling up this weekend as well. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, brought to you by our good friends at Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, and the Wow Club, a part of the Endeavor Hospitality Network. The Wow Club is totally free app to sign up for. Start earning your Wow rewards today. Wow Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your mobile phone. Just go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. It's totally free. They are a supporter of Indiana Athletics, FYI. So support those, and more importantly, they're a supporter of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. And so they help us bring all of this content to you. So it doesn't cost you a thing. Go sign up at the Wow Club, whether it's in your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. You may be ordering some steaks from BB's. You never know what's going to be happening. You got a tailgate coming up. We got more as well. Back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington, Brandon.
All right.
Brandon, that's a new name. I don't recall seeing Brandon before. Hello.
Brandon Drake. Good to have you with us.
Whoa. Really?
What?
Sharon got hired at Jeffersonville. I missed that.
Did you also see the Mill Wagner stuff yesterday with U of L?
Oh, yes. God. Wait a minute. That's all great stuff to talk about. Sharon Wilkerson at Jeffersonville. That's a big time.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. How are you?
We are doing well. Or I won't speak for Jim, but I'm doing well.
I am fan-effing-tastic, and I could not be better now that the great Bob Kravitz has joined us. What hat are we wearing today, though, Bob? I can't tell. Do you use your phone?
Do I use my phone? Yes.
Oh, okay. I was going to tell because it's always looking up at you. I was always curious because I couldn't ever tell your hat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I'm curious.
this is the old Colorado Rockies, circa late 70s, early 80s. They were a hockey team that moved to New Jersey.
See, you have a great hat collection. I had multiple hat collections, but I just go through them because if I have a hat, I cannot not wear it. And I will ruin them unless it's a really dark hat.
Oh,
just
yeah.
by simply wearing them.
I wear them to play golf, so I sweat through them. But, that's a great thing. I buy a new one.
Yeah. What's new with you? I saw your piece on Trace Jackson from, what was it, the day before, I guess?
Yes. By the way, are we on?
Well, people on YouTube can hear us. We're not on
People
air.
can hear us. We're live on YouTube constantly, but we're off radio air.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I needed to give my radio answer or we're just
Oh,
BS.
No. We're just bantering.
We're just BSing.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, look, we'll say this once we get going, but he was in a good position because he's not from a family that desperately needs him to go to the pros and make some generational cash. So and obviously he wasn't in a position to get a guaranteed contract. So I think it's great. Look, we'd all love to spend 15 years as seniors at Indiana University. So God bless him for that.
Yeah, that was a great point. I tried to.
So did my daughter, but that's another story.
All right, here we go.
Man.
Plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. We made it to the halfway point, and nobody better to get us going over the hump than Bob Kravitz.
How are you, sir?
I was going to leave it to you to say, speaking of humps, but no.
That was last week.
Did you say that last week? Daggone it. I knew that for some reason that was sitting in my head. There was greatness sitting there, and I couldn't have come up with it, so wonder where that was stewing from. Let's see. We've got the Indianapolis 500 coming up this weekend. We've got Huber's tonight, which has not happened in a couple of years and is sold out. And the return of Trace Jackson Davis to talk about. Of course, you wrote a great piece on his return a few days ago. Several great lines in it. One of which was, we'd all love to spend 7 years at IU. I certainly did my best to do that, but yeah, you the best thing that you hit on though is he's in the perfect position.
Oh, he is. He is. And look, I don't know his family's financial situation, but he is the son of a former NBA player. And, he was not in a position where he had to take a risk of moving on to the G League or wherever, where he wasn't going to get a guaranteed contract. And so, this was a nice this is a nice option for him. And the fact that he had that option, because a lot of kids, let's face it, a lot of kids make the jump. They're in a hurry because they want to take care of their families, and God bless them for that. Can't blame them for that. But Trace was in a different situation, and I think the COVID. Look, if he had not contracted COVID and had gone to the NBA pre-draft camp, he might have blown up. You never know. I remember back in the early 2000s going up to Chicago and watching Kirk Haston absolutely dominate people. And he got drafted top, 5, 10 by Charlotte, and never really, nothing ever came of him. But he had a
4-year career, or however long it lasted, and he gets a pension. So he's
doing fine. He's doing fine. But I'm just saying,
right.
You never know. Trace may have gone there and absolutely blown up and moved himself into the early in the second round. You don't know. But the fact that IU is still here, he still has he's got 2 years actually of eligibility, which he's not going to use. I think it was a smart decision. I don't say that as a guy who went to IU. I say that just as if I was his father, and God knows I'm old enough to be his father, I would tell him, don't be in such a rush to leave a really good situation. And I like the way he's taken at least verbal ownership of this program. I think that's really important.
We'll get to that. To say that NIL had no effect, I think that it's not for me to say that that's not true, but it's hard to imagine that there was no impact, especially when he's going to be making 3 times the money that he probably would have made if he had gone the other route. So it's hard to say it did not matter when you have this golden parachute to fall back on. It has to make things easier, but that's his response.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, this is what happens when you get me in the morning, by the way. I apologize. Look, I think it was a little bit disingenuous of him to say, oh, it had no impact. Look, it had to have some impact. You don't come back to Indiana and let's face it, risk injury and risk your future if there's not something in it for you financially. So I think that was a little bit disingenuous, but I would agree with him. I think he's being honest when he says that's not the reason he came back. Did it make it easier to come back? Absolutely. But is that the reason he came back? No, I think he came back for all the right reasons.
Well, his honesty and openness on everything else, though, was so refreshing and a little eye-opening.
Yeah.
There were some things that you brought out in your piece as well that really caught our ears that we did not get complete clarification on, but particularly with drug, and to him, drugs, that's probably people smoking pot. Is all within his realm. Use of drugs is probably people smoking pot, which, and I said this yesterday, if you're 17 or 18, that's an issue. If you're 21, I don't give a crap. I know it may not be legal in the state of Indiana, but I really could not give a flying crap if a 21-year-old is smoking pot when it's legal in 33 states and it is way less harmful than a bottle of bourbon that a 21-year-old can go in and buy by themselves. So I don't care about all that stuff, but
I don't either.
But for the guys that are younger and getting involved and maybe doing things they shouldn't be doing, not focused on the things they should be focused on. I think that's more about what it says specifically to the Northwestern game. The younger guys, that they were not focused on the task at hand, and that was a road win that they needed and that they ended up losing because of their selfishness.
Well, there are two elements to this. One was I found it interesting that an assistant coach, this is according to the podcast that those guys did previously, I guess it was the day before, where they said that an assistant coach had called Trace and said, "Hey, what do you want to do with these guys?" I'm like, no, you don't ask the play. I mean, that's up to Mike Woodson, and what Mike Woodson should have done. And I keep hearing people say, "Oh, he laid down the law." Bull. He let them sit on the bench. He let them stay. If that was me, and I'm not Bob Knight, believe me, but if that was me, I would have pulled the manager aside, said, "Rent a van, drive your ass down to Bloomington with these 4 or 5 guys, and have them waiting at Assembly Hall, ready to run when I get home." And that's how I would have dealt with it. They decided not to do that. The other element of it was that Trace went to Mike Woodson and said, "This 3 strikes and you're out stuff with smoking weed has got to stop. If a guy is, does it once, he's gone." Now, as a guy who occasionally partakes, I'm not harsh when it comes to that kind of stuff. Quite honestly, I'd rather they smoke a joint than drink a lot of alcohol.
Any alcohol. I am firmly behind you, and I don't think it's fair for Trace to take that stance just on one thing.
Well, no, but he has seen this team's partying impact previous teams. I asked him as a follow-up yesterday when he talked about it, and I asked him about it. I'm sure J.D. Campbell had a small coronary when I did. But he said that in the past, the weed smoking has been problematic. And look, this is the way I look at it. I have no problem with anybody smoking weed. I smoke weed. I admit it. I don't care who knows. Okay, fine. But during the season, can you just hold off? Can you just hold off during the season? Is that asking too much? You've got a scholarship. You're being asked to do certain things. Hold off on smoking weed because it is still, I don't know. I just smoke all you want in the off season. It's a long off season. Get high every day. I don't care. But, during the regular season, let's stay united and keep it clean.
Well, you want to get rid of the failed drug test. Well, you tie it to any NIL deal. Any NIL deal comes with any failed drug test makes this agreement null and void. It's a 1 strike and you're out during the season or what have you. I don't think that they should be controlled outside of the season either. I agree. And like I said, I could not for that to be an issue, unless if they're sitting there smoking a joint on the way out of the locker room. Right, I don't understand why there's an issue here, which I don't understand why anybody would do that unless they felt it relaxed them or whatever. But anyway, we're getting kind of off of on a different tangent, but I can't imagine that. I think that most of the element that was probably involved in that most is gone from this team. There was some cleansing. And then I to hear Trace Jackson basically say that, hey, me and Race are going to take care of Xavier. He's going to be with us. That's a big boy move because Xavier's older than Trace Jackson Davis is.
Right. And look, Xavier's got to be as good this entire season as he was late in the season when him and Trace were doing the pick and roll up high and Trace is diving to the basket and Xavier's making his plays. He's got to be a guy who's, a second team All Big Ten type of player. So they need to keep Xavier's head on straight. Now, whether he's gonna get there, I don't know. He's not a kid that I know very well, but I do like the fact that Trace has taken ownership. He's going to try to keep Xavier's head on straight, and they're going to need it, believe me.
Yeah, my only concern there is Race seems like a really, really good kid, which is a great thing. But I wonder if trying to bottle up someone like Xavier too much will lead to pressure. I mean, I'm not saying you just got to turn him loose, but I mean, he's an adult. He's got to be able to take care of himself as well.
I agree.
And look, do the right thing.
Yeah, he's not a teenager anymore, and he's got to be responsible for himself, as you said. But you do when you're that age. Yeah, it's the people you surround yourself with very often, and I think being with Trace and Race will be a good thing for him. But again, he's not going to be with them 24/7, and at some point, he's got to take personal responsibility for doing the right thing.
I agree 1,000%. Now, I guess how good everyone, the fans, from a fan standpoint.
Oh, they're already stitching the banner. Are you kidding me?
Yep, they got number 6 going up, and I'm like, whoa, time out, slow your roll.
Who's going to shoot? Who's going to shoot?
I definitely put Indiana in the top 3 of the Big Ten in that race. Yeah. And that's a race that they can win because you look at Purdue. Purdue, may have this or that. They work from the inside out. But that's great for conference. I'm looking beyond that. I think that Big Ten teams have to start looking outside of how this conference has played basketball because they've not found success once they get to the tournament here of late. The game is kind of changing. I think Indiana's and Michigan is kind of ahead of the curve. Probably Michigan State up there, but Indiana is making the right turn at the right time to kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, look, as everybody knows, it's been since 2000 and the Flintstones that Michigan State won with Mateen Cleaves and all those guys, and I think it was in Indianapolis actually. And the game now is more guard and wing oriented. It just is, and I don't know that Big Ten teams. They like the pound. They like the physical game. They like to go inside out. And then they get to the tournament and the guard play just isn't good enough. Purdue had Jaden Ivey who played terrible against St. Peter's, but I always worried about their point guard play. I mean, I like Hunter. I think he's a decent player, but if you want to get somewhere deep in the NCAA, you need dynamic guard play.
Speed, shooting, defense. Right. That to me those are the 3 things. And something else that you just mentioned that I was having a conversation with yesterday with somebody. Just the term wing, the positions, I hate the positionless basketball term, but it is becoming that. And
truth.
Forward is almost going away. It's small forward, power forward, shooting forward, wing. So that is becoming a hybrid type of positions. And I look at Indiana's roster next year. I think that they're in from the backcourt pretty good spot because Xavier, while is their point guard, and I think Jalen Hood-Schifino will start as the 2. I think those guys are going to actually end up being a 1-2-2-1 kind of a situation. I think that Xavier is going to be the point guard, but is going to be able to play off of Schifino as a 2, if that makes sense, because he was very successful scoring last year, whether it's creating his own shot, his shooting came around. Jalen Hood-Schifino is a pretty good facilitator. I think that they're going to have a great combination in that regard. Now it's who's going to be that wing, who's going to be that 3. That's that spot that Indiana has not changed. That's the position that has not changed, whether it's Tamar Bates that steps up. I don't know who it's going to be. But
Galloway, Aleel. I mean, somebody's got to step up. And look, I still don't know where the shooting's going to come from. Now,
Yeah, I just say, other than this, they're the same team as last year, minus the addition of Jalen Hood-Schifino and maybe a better Xavier, but everything else is the same.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. You need improvement from Galloway, whose game I really like. You need it from Leal. You need it from Tamar Bates, who I think has a chance to be really good. Another guy who I think is going to be really good next year, and we saw flashes of it in the Wyoming game in Dayton, is Jordan Geronimo. So the raw material is there, but again, you need some guys who can shoot 38 to 42% from three. And by God, I don't know who that's going to be. I know that on the podcast, Jackson Davis talked about Miller Kopp. I'm like, really? He's got a good looking shot. It just never goes in.
Yeah, I don't even. I'm like, if he can come and do his deal, that's great. But there's no point in even mentioning him. He's a fourth-year guy. It's not like he's going to be a sophomore. He's not making his next year jump in college. So, but we'll certainly see. What are you heading out to the 500? Or first of all, you going to Huber's tonight?
No, I am not. I'm going to head on
Not
to the court. No,
I got to give up to a great name that Tim gave it, the Woody Allen Show.
The Woody Allen Show for
tonight.
What, this one? Oh, tonight.
Yeah, right. Woody, and Tom Allen. Woody Allen Show.
Oh, very good. I didn't know Tom Allen was going to be there as well. No, I'm going to go to the Colts this afternoon, see what's going on, and then media day at the track on Thursday, and I'll most certainly be at the race on Sunday. Looking forward to it.
Unfortunately, I am going out of town. I'm not going to be at the track this year, but I will be listening to it. I'll be listening to our good friend Chris Tenari in turn 4. I can't wait. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Thank you, sir. Make sure you give him a follow and become a subscriber. I am. Appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you, man. Take care of yourself.
It's a great Bob Kravitz with us here from The Athletic. We've got lots more coming up. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, as well as Rick Bozich is going to join us later. We got lots more coming up, brought to you by Cabello. Get a taste of Southern Italian cuisine right here in Southern Indiana. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. The bird. He always thinks he's waiting to say something to me in the break, and then he leaves. I said he always waits like he's going to say something. Then he. Let's see. Daniel, another new name. How are you, sir?
Daniel
Guys listening or watching on YouTube or Facebook. If you're on Facebook, make the switch to YouTube. But mostly everybody is on YouTube. Actually, I see.
We've done a pretty good job at transitioning people.
I see no one. No one. That's awesome. Everybody's on YouTube. That's great. Daniel, welcome aboard. Appreciate you. Whenever you're listening, if you're live or not, really appreciate you guys hitting the subscribe and like button. It really, really helps us immensely. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you.
Some of you may have even discovered the show from somebody else liking or not really subscribing, but from liking it because it was suggested to you. If that's the case, we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And please give me a follow on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. Man. Huber's tonight, man. Sold out.
Hubbers. I'm just being stupid.
I'm surprised.
The first one in 2 years, 3 years.
You know what? Probably 3 years. It's probably canceled for 2, right?
Yep.
So this is 22. So 21, 22. I think that 19 would have been okay because it was in May, so it made it beforehand.
There's Mr. Neddenriep.
Hello, Kyle.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's right. Not the same issue as last week.
How are you doing?
Good. You guys?
I cannot complain. What?
doing fine on this Wednesday morning.
I was just noting that your Detroit Tigers are easily within reach of the Cincinnati Reds.
They keep getting worse.
The Tigers are the Reds.
Tigers. I don't know about the Reds. They probably are too.
You can't be much worse. .com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Hump Day. We've made it to halfway point. It's Wednesday here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from RE/MAX Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need our friend Cheryl Sizemore with her 2 decades of experience. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Please welcome Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star. Kyle, how are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Jim.
I was just lamenting in the break how your Detroit Tigers are actually giving hope to Reds fans, as the Reds are just 1 game behind both the Tigers and the Royals, so you're not alone as being the absolute worst team in all of baseball.
What's their record now?
Which one?
What's the Tigers' record?
They're all Detroit and Kansas City are both 14-28, while Cincinnati is 12-30.
Okay. Yeah. I've checked out. I checked the score at the end of the night, and that's about it at this point.
The good thing you got going for you is the Royals have lost 6 straight.
Yeah, they're pretty bad too. That should be the White Sox division to run away with, I would think.
Which is amazing because they're 5.5 games back of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who has went 8-2 in their last 10 games.
Yeah, Minnesota kind of underachieved last year. Now they're having a pretty good start to this season. So, yeah, I don't know. I still follow baseball, but when they get off to starts like this, I start to lose interest.
It's easy. I saw Moneyball was on the other night. That's always fun to watch, even though you know the ending. It's a great story.
Yeah, it is.
Didn't turn out great for them either.
I normally watch the NBA playoffs anyway until that's over with. Then I turn my attention more to baseball. But now I don't know what I'm going to be. I'll still watch a little bit, but my TV watching is pretty limited anymore anyway. So,
yeah, a lot of time, especially this time of year, outside, getting out and about, things going on. Are you heading out to the track at all?
I don't think I'm on the list to go this year. I sometimes will help out on race day. I've probably done that 4 or 5 times, but they bring in a lot of our interns over the summer to do a lot of that stuff. And then, some of the newer people who haven't done it yet. So, and I'm not a big, huge race guy. I enjoy race day though, the actual day of the race. But I can't say I follow it super closely or anything like that. But, going to the race for the first time, that was quite an experience. And then helping out on coverage of it several times was, it's really fun. I mean, there's a lot going on, and I like getting out and walking around and kind of seeing rather than just kind of sitting up in the, in the media center, getting out and kind of enjoying the day. And I was like the 9th sidebar, so I didn't have that big of a role anyway. So it was, I thought that was kind of always the fun part of it.
It certainly is. Let's see, in the high school ranks, what's been happening there? Not a lot going on as we're into the spring. The AAU has been slowing down even. So it's been kind of a quiet May of sorts, I guess. You got graduation going on, baseball still happening, but this is kind of a quiet time.
Yeah, you'll have, the spring sports are kind of ramping up. You'll have baseball and softball sectionals going on. I'm actually helping out doing a softball sectional tonight at Plainfield, and then tomorrow night will be the track. I'm going to go do a track regional at Lawrence Central. So, I'm kind of pitching in, helping with some of that. I think I'm doing a baseball game, a sectional final on Monday. So Monday's always a big sectional final baseball day. So doing some of that, and I helped out with track last week at track sectional, and that was fun. I mean, David Woods does so much of our track coverage. He does a great job. He finds great stories. But, I was out at Carmel last, Thursday night, and I covered track for quite a while at my former paper, and there's so many different stories out there that you're just kind of walking around, like, long jump, pole vault. Talked to a kid who at Fishers who, he played basketball. He's about 5'7", and just went out for pole vault this year, and he's going 15.6 on the pole vault. So, just stuff like that is fun. You find some different stories, but yeah, I'm doing some of that, helping out. Also have some basketball. Basketball was off last weekend, but they're back to the EYBL in Louisville this weekend. So, I got some stories coming. Luke went out to New Powell football yesterday to, talk to some of those guys, and trying to work ahead on some football stuff, really, for these next couple months, trying to at least have a couple things each week on football and getting ready for all that. So, yeah, it's just a lot going on.
Yeah, you got to prep. No time for the no rest for the weary, right? But that's where we are. The Indianapolis 500 takes up so much of Indy, and then like I said, you add in the graduation and all that's going on. It's really hard for anything else to happen around. This is the crowning jewel for Indianapolis, and that's saying a lot for a city that hosts NCAA championships and all they've hosted the Super Bowl now. But the Indy 500 is the jewel, man. It's showing off the state. It's hopefully the great weather will be there. The crowds will come back. Hopefully they get to lift the blackout.
Yeah. I'm not a big, like I said, I'm not a huge into racing, but I think anybody who hasn't been and who lives here, should try to go to it at least once. I think you'll get a different perspective on what it's actually like in person, even if you're not a big car or racing person necessarily. So, I like to walk through, and the times I've gone, I kind of park away and then, walk through Speedway, and kind of get a feel of it's kind of like a college football atmosphere, sort of, like the tailgating and people outside their houses around Speedway, kind of, playing cornhole and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's a neat week leading up to it, and then the race day is kind of a whole thing unto itself, and I've gotten there. You can get a police escort. There's people from the Star who will go early in the morning on Sunday and get a police escort there, and that's a fun thing to be part of too. Before you get to the track. So,
how you get that set up? How's that happen?
I don't know. I don't know the details on that. They've done that for quite a few years though, and that's kind of a neat deal too. So yeah, but it's a whole thing. It's a whole experience, and like I said, if you haven't gone to it and live here, you probably should at least check it out one time.
Yeah, nothing beats the baseball sectionals on Memorial Day. It does take me back to high school. I mean, you've already had graduation, but it's kind of cool that you're still playing. For those guys that are still playing, that's because graduation's hard for those seniors. It was hard for me, and so it's like it still gives you this last little thing to hold on to before you make that next move.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing where you're out of school and then you're still part of this baseball team, your high school team but you're not going to school now. So that's kind of a neat thing, or a different thing, I would say. And a lot of these teams obviously will be out, after Monday or even before that this week. But, if you can continue playing under, the regional, semi-state and state, you still got, a few weeks of baseball left in you. So, and you don't have to go to school anymore. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, Mondays always feels to me like a recovery from the 500 day / sectional baseball day. So, and it's usually about 105 degrees, it seems like.
Oh yes. I did not want to. Thank you so much, Tim. Sharon Wilkerson, named coach at Jeffersonville.
Yep.
Wow. You talk about making the complete circle. He started out at Madison Shaw, which is a tiny little school there. He leaves there and did he go straight to Madison from there and then up towards Indianapolis and now back to Jeff?
Yeah, well, he went up to Logansport last year. He coached there last year. I know they were, I actually talked to him last year when he got hired there, and they were really limited, I would say, on their talent level last year, and he knew that going into it. Probably didn't expect this job to open, right now, and makes sense, I think, for him to probably dive into that position there, obviously, with his background. So, I think that'll be a good fit, and obviously he knows the situation there and knows what kind of talent you can get there traditionally anyway. So, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, pretty cool for him to be able to come back to Jeffersonville and coach there.
Former Indiana player Sharon Wilkerson, who was on Indiana, former state champion as well. The Floyd Central job, is that still open?
As far as I know, last check, it still was. I think they've had some, people that they thought they might be able to get in there, maybe not want to, or for whatever reason. So, I think that's still open. And last I checked, I think that was as of yesterday. So I believe it still is open. Is
that the biggest open job in the state at the moment?
Yeah, I would say so. Most of the other positions have kind of filled up here. Brebeuf filled up with Alan Glunt, who was a former assistant there. Actually wrote about that the other day. He was longtime assistant for Todd Howard, had been at Tri-West last year, and then jumped into back into that Brebeuf job. So around here, that was pretty, I think that was probably the biggest one remaining. So now you have Tri-West open, obviously, but that's not one of the bigger schools, obviously, but a pretty good job, I would say, around here. But yeah, Logansport's obviously open. You have some of that, sort of the one job opens, one job closes, another one opens type of a situation. So, yeah, there's some smaller jobs open, I believe now still. But as far as big ones, I think that's probably the Floyd Central job's probably the biggest at this point.
Well, for those of you listening on the ref in Evansville, you can rest luckily or easy. I do not see Floyd Central prying Pat Graham out of Evansville to come back to Floyd, to his home digs. He's been in Evansville for far, far too long. His kids have both graduated high school there. I think one just graduated again from Memorial. Yeah. Anything else coming up? What's going on with you this weekend?
We're, like I said, just doing some, helping out here with softball and track and baseball. I'm kind of filling in the blanks on some of that. I've got a couple of football recruiting stories coming. Wrote today on Anthony Morelli, who played quarterback at Penn State back in the early 2000s, probably mid 2000s. He was a big time prospect, and he's been here training quarterbacks for about the last decade and kind of made it a business here. So he's a name. I remember his name at Penn State. He's from Pittsburgh, but kind of had a cup of coffee type of situation with Arizona Cardinals training camp one year, preseason. Wasn't able to make it, and then played a little arena ball, I think for just 1 year, and then said, hey, I'd rather try to move on to something else at age 26 than try to follow this bouncing ball of arena and miscellaneous professional leagues. So, he jumped into this, and he's one of the few guys in the country who kind of does it full time. And he's got a facility and kind of cool. Danny O'Neill's one of the kids who goes to him at Cathedral, who's getting a lot of offers, and lots of other kids around Central Indiana, a lot of starters, and then a lot of others who are trying to jump into that, and some college guys who come back to work with him. So that was a fun story to work on for a couple of days. And it's we've had some tragedy up here too at Lawrence North with a kid who died at track practice, and then another Warren Central football player who died Monday night. So just a lot of stuff that's unfortunate, especially in light of the news that happened yesterday in Texas. But yeah, this is always have something going on. But yeah, it'll be a lot of kind of helping out with different sports here the next few days.
Yeah, just absolutely horrific anytime a child dies. But these accidents that have happened the last couple of days in sports, if you're not familiar, a young athlete died after track practice, right?
Yeah, I think it was during, kind of during practice, and 15-year-old boy, and apparently there was no history of any conditions or anything like that. So again, just and then Warren Central had a player, football player, would be a senior. Talked to Mike Kirshner last night about that, Warren Central football coach, and can't really at this point there doesn't appear to be any foul play in that situation. So it's very sad. I mean, just very, very sad, and don't even know what to say really about stuff like that. It's just it's no one to blame in a couple of those cases, but it's hard. I mean, these kids are going through enough at their teenage years, and to lose a teammate and a classmate and those sort of things. Having kids who are that age now myself, it's just like, man, I mean, makes you want to make sure they're doing okay, and kids go through a lot, and I think they hide stuff from people. And I know I did when I was that age. So you just want to make sure. You can't always make sure everything's okay. You can't be that helicopter parent, but you got to do what you can do.
Absolutely. Kyle, I cannot thank you enough, as always, for joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. I hope you have a great rest of your week and enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, my friend.
Same to you, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us as he does each and every week here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got plenty more coming up. Rick Bozich is going to join us. Plenty more to talk about. Don't forget, if you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, Cheryl Sizemore has 2 decades of experience. Could be the difference between you getting the home you want and not. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. We got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We appreciate it. Appreciate all the seeing lots of new names on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Hey, there's Steve. Hello, guys. Great show. Thank you. Appreciate you, Steve. Hope you're doing well. Tell us where you're from. I like to find out where everybody's from. We've got, I think, listeners in 22 states when you include all of the YouTube and in 10 countries, all that stuff. So enjoy talking to everybody from all over. We've got lots more to do it with. We'll be right back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right.
Whoa.
I've got
there's
3 trace
Steve.
clips. I've got 3 trace clips for you. Talking points if you want to use them during this open segment.
All right.
One of them's about.
Steve, we'll appreciate you, brother. I will get you up there as well. And Daniel, go ahead. I'm listening.
One of them's about team chemistry. One of them is the one Bob Kravitz is referencing earlier about the drug use. And then one of them is about money. And if that had
money. Joe, I hope you're seeing how invaluable that John is. Well, you haven't been able to, you still can't see it because there's stuff that he does behind the scenes that you don't know, that unless he's telling you, whether it's with a guest or knowing, oh man, we're going to need that, and being ahead of it.
I've kind of let him into that kind of stuff. Like earlier, I mentioned,
well, there's just stuff that he can't see that you do that.
Yeah. Well, I explained certain things, like with certain guests. Like I said, some guests, you got to remind them. Sometimes they like to be reminded because I don't know, like it's just habit. That's probably just kind of the learning the different guests' needs and personalities is one thing. If you're ever doing this regularly.
Wait, what about my needs and
Although, don't worry, those come first and second and third.
Where are you, Joe? Are you a senior?
No, I'll be a junior.
Okay, so you're already in school here.
Yes, sir.
All right. I couldn't remember. Did you all live by Critter? Well, I don't even know where Critter lives.
Yeah, we used to live in Georgetown, Indiana, which is right down there by Floyd Central. But we moved to.
You know, I went to Floyd Central, right?
Yep, I do.
I'm pretty familiar with where Georgetown is. Grew up there, boy. Grew up there, son. I played baseball at Georgetown Ballpark when they didn't have a fence.
Like down there by HYR?
Well, that's the Georgetown Ballpark, yes. They didn't have a fence, and if they had one over your head, it would roll to the damn creek if he lives in right field. Because there was a creek down there. Creek and a T-League field.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
It's Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point of the week. Hope you're having a good day, and your week's been okay. The weather is looking pretty nice. It's been pretty nice after having a lot of rain and all that. So, what is the weekend going to be like this weekend? I have not even looked at this weekend's forecast for the Indianapolis 500 out of curiosity. Sunday, only an 8% chance of precipitation. Why does it always jump? I got to do it again. High of 82. Oh my gosh. Mainly sunny, a high of 82 degrees. Wind south 10 to 15 miles an hour. Nice little breeze. So Sunday is going to be absolutely incredible for both the Indianapolis 500. Well, I don't know about Charlotte. I'm sure it will be. And then Monday, Memorial Day, just as nice, a little warmer, 88 degrees and sunny, 5%. So it's going to be an incredible weekend. Let's go backwards to Saturday. A little cooler, partly cloudy, how I said before. So great weekend on tap, man. I mean, it is just absolutely perfect Indy 500 weekend. So whatever you're doing, do they have Indy parties? I know that a lot of people have derby parties. The derby rolls around. They're very similar events with the people who live around the tracks. It's big time for them to make money too. Parking and all of that stuff. So you got that going on, which is nice. A couple of new names haven't seen. Steve Ward says, great show. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate you listening. Wonder where you listening from. Daniel Sigrid was talking about earlier. I mentioned the guard play, and he says the big difference will be the change at the 2 or the 3, even if Kopp starts. Not sure he will. Having Schifino and Bates at the 2 would make a world difference. Stewart and Kopp were the same. Yeah, both bad or non-productive, I should say. We will get back to talking about basketball, and Rick Bozich joins us from WDRB.com, and I'm looking forward to talking about the Louisville situation because Louisville and Kentucky are both in this war, absolute recruiting war for is it DJ Wheat? John, is that his name?
Talk about DJ Wagner?
Wagner. Yeah, DJ Wagner. Who did Louisville hired?
His grandfather?
Yeah.
Yes, Milt Wagner.
Milt Wagner, who is a former U of L great, though, who played on the 1980 NCAA National Championship team, which is a smart move. And you see this happen all the time. And I think it was Tim mentioned earlier something about NCAA rules with relatives. I'm not aware of this rule. Is this a rule that has just changed? Because that was not in place previously.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. If that was a rule already, why would you give yourself a recruiting disadvantage by doing that?
Exactly. When that's the guy they're trying to land. A, B, look out Iowa, and you'll notice that both of Fran's sons are playing for him. So I'm not sure what rule. There's no rule as far as relatives that I have ever even heard of. So I'm not sure what that is in reference to. But Louisville making the very, very smart move because there's been talk that if Kentucky doesn't land him, that the fans are going to be pretty PO'd at Calipari. Because, man, there's only one thing Kentucky hates more than losing. The Kentucky fans hate than losing, and that's losing to Louisville. They just have this, what's the word I'm looking for? Entitled, this sense of entitlement. Not just like how they got there, be damned. You know, it's kind of like Kansas and Bill Self walking around with, you know, the fact he can walk around with his head up, that just tells you a lot. He just doesn't give a crap. Walk around with a new title that I won't say that one was bought and paid for, because I believe most of the transgressions that he's charged with were from prior to that. But oh well, it is what it is. What I still think that the NIL is going to be the great equalizer, because it has been Kansas and Duke and Kentucky that has been the benefactor from the backdoor channels. That's about to all change, baby. I mean, Kentucky fans are not going to be ponying up $5 million a year for players. If you are, then what are you doing? What are you getting? Would you be proud of that? I mean, come on. Well, I don't know if it would bother them or not, but I would not want to see it, even from a reporter standpoint, but even from a fan standpoint. Personally, if I were looking at it from a fan standpoint, I would not want to see my team doing well because, and only because, they were able to land a bunch of guys that they had no shot at just because of NIL. Now, Oscar Tshiebwe staying, if he doesn't get that $2 million, I promise you, his ass is gone, because he would have been a first-round draft pick. That's a guaranteed contract. Probably. I have to go back and look. I think he was listed as a first-rounder, most likely. So him staying, yeah, that's a difference maker. But guys that are not guaranteed first rounders are half of those guys probably would have come back before, and half of them would have not. They would go one of the other routes, whether it's the G League or to Europe. They just have an opportunity to stay home now. But we'll see. What's the Big Ten going to be like next year? Everybody, I know all the IU fans think Indiana is going to win the Big Ten and go to the Final Four now because Trace Jackson Davis is coming back. But why? What makes Indiana better than every other Big Ten team all of a sudden? They had Trace Jackson Davis last year. Michigan is going to have Hunter Dickinson back. He's going to have to deal with a Hunter Dickinson who will go out on the perimeter and successfully shoot three-point shots. So don't just slow your roll. There's great reason for optimism and happiness. I fully expect Indiana to challenge for the Big Ten title next year. I mean, truth be told, they could have last year had they been better prepared, because they still, even with what they did and what they had, they still put themselves in a position to have achieved it had they not done the thing with both games with Wisconsin and Penn State. Those are game big time changers. I mean, I was out at Iowa, another game that a better team, this team probably doesn't lose. And those 4 games or whatever alone right there, that makes that puts you at the back of the top. So, but there's also going to be a type of pressure on Indiana that has not been there in a long time. Pressure to win. No one is really, it's been more of a hope. At least from my standpoint, it was a hope that they won under Archie, because you just never knew what was going to happen. Now there's going to be expectations, a la last year's football season. Now, I completely do not expect Indiana to come out and lay the egg that Indiana football laid. I do expect Indiana to challenge for the Big Ten championship, but they're going to have to find either someone or someone's to fill the shooting void. Because even if you do switch to a more free-flowing offense, that means shooting. Now, whether that's X improves his shooting, whether it's Tamar Bates, you would certainly think someone like Anthony Leal, after 2 years, if he's going to do it, it's going to be now. Jordan Geronimo, he already has all the other tools. You would think he was working on nothing but offensive tools, because that's the one area of his game that lacks, other than pure physical talent. And I'm talking touch, shooting, things like that. So for me, that's what it's going to take for this to be a great team. Being good is there's going to be a lot of good teams. But to be great, they're going to have to do something different. So someone is going to have to shoot. You heard me not mention Miller Kopp, because like I said before, why am I going to waste time? If he turns out to be a guy who is successful this year, is productive, great. Not counting on it. And no way would I count on that. Why? Because I saw it last year. All the opportunities needed didn't happen. Now, I've talked about maybe there's less pressure on him this year. Maybe it's easier for him. I don't know. We'll see. But not counting on that. But that's the problem. I'm not counting on anybody to be that right now, because I don't know who that is. I'm not in practice. I don't see him. You can't guess that someone's going to make a jump. You can hope. Everybody can hope that Tamar Bates is going to make that freshman to sophomore leap. But that's what you can do. We got to take a break. The great Rick Bozich from WDRB coming up next here on Indiana Sports Feed, brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. Great place to catch a game and some great food. Make sure you stop by. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington. Hey, Rick, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. I was talking some Central League baseball earlier with Kyle Neddenriep. He's a Detroit Tigers fan, and I was telling him if he wasn't careful, the Tigers are going to let the Reds not be the worst team in all of baseball.
That's true. They're not doing very well.
They're a game behind Kansas City and Detroit. So they can climb out of the cellar. But what's up with the White Sox, man? Playing 500 ball.
I don't know. They're just struggling.
That is funny. This is the epitome of their season right now, I guess. They're 21-21. They're 5.5 games back, and their last 10 games, they've gone 5-5.
Yeah, what's alarming is their run differentials.
That is minus 35.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Cleveland Guardians has a positive run differential.
They just haven't clicked this year. I'm not convinced it's going to happen.
I saw Moneyball last night or the other night, brother. You never know. Get on that streak.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned.
I still like watching the White Sox post-game show with the former manager.
Ozzie
Guillen. It cracks me up, but I don't mean this to sound negative in a way, but he's a lot better, easier to understand. Big Papi, he's kind of hard. Let's see, there was one other guy, but I'm like, oh man, you can barely understand it, but it's just kind of funny.
Pedro?
He's not too bad, is he?
No, he's better than Ozzie. Ozzie's okay until he starts talking real fast.
Yeah, he's just funny. Did you ever get to see Pedro pitch?
Yeah, I saw him pitch live at Fenway once.
Oh my God, I saw him pitch at. No, it wasn't Fenway. I was at the Cleveland Indians.
Vote for
But
Pedro.
he was a. I called him a whippet. His motion was just. It was so fast once he would.
Yeah, he wasn't a big guy.
10 seconds.
No, and man. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Wednesday. Hump day, man. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com, the Hall of Fame writer, joins us. And Rick, lots of, not a lot going on this week, but two big pieces of news that you've been working on. And we'll talk about both of them. Of course, first of all, the return of Trace Jackson Davis to Indiana, and Louisville signing Milt Wagner in their efforts to land DJ. Very, very smart move. Can't wait to talk about that one. But Trace Jackson Davis coming back, not a shock to me at all. Probably not a shock to you either. It was the best decision he probably could have made. And then he had the COVID issues. So all that stuff aside, yesterday, or the presser with him a couple days ago, there was some stuff said that was a little surprising. I've talked with Bob Kravitz earlier, and the openness and honesty was so refreshing and unexpected, to be honest with you. But the biggest thing I took out of it was his desire to be an absolute leader for this team, which I have never seen before.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, it was a nice long session. It went almost a half an hour.
We got to ask two questions. I'm like, what the hell's happening?
It's crazy, but it was refreshing to see, and hopefully it's an indication of the way things will be moving forward, because I think we're the conduit for people to hear more about these players and what they're all about. And you want to raise interest even higher in the program, that's one way to do it. But yeah, I was surprised at the way he talked about a variety of different items, the leadership, the intolerance for guys not following rules on the team. I was surprised by him talking to Mike Woodson about changing up some of the way things they do in practice. And, not my takeaway from it was he wasn't a big fan of 5 starters sitting out and 5 subs on the floor at the same time. And that's something that a lot of other people mentioned repeatedly throughout that season. It never really did change. So it was good to know the players were thinking the same way. And he framed it in a way that I guess I didn't really think of, is that it hurt team chemistry of, like, it was like the starters were the starters and the next group were the next group. And it's better for the team if they mix it up a little bit more.
One thing I am curious on the substitution pattern, as you mentioned, we all were questioning that. How that's the one I don't understand how Woody did not make that adjustment. Was it just a complete lack of confidence or what? But I don't know how he could not see that was not flowing well for the team when he would do that, because you can't take one A, and then replace them with one B, 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 B. I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
Especially when, I'd say by far the majority of times when that happened, Indiana had some game slippage. It was like the performance of the team dropped off when those guys were in there. That's to me was a big part of their struggles on offense is when the second team guys were in there, they weren't nearly as efficient on offense. I don't know, defensively, I didn't think they were horrible, but they would go on the floor for offense and that's when they'd have those 3 to 5 minute stretches where they wouldn't score at all. And you'd look and watch them out there and say, okay, who's going to score in this group? I mean, and it was maybe one guy, and opposing teams knew it too. I mean, they scout so heavily that every team knew, let's get it into the second team, and that's a chance for us to make our run.
Yeah, he does seem like he's being a Kareem type player with a zen, clean, no margin for error kind of a thing. Which, like I said, to come out of nowhere, which is great. He needs that growth. Maybe that's something he picked up going through this process of looking at the NBA draft. But it is a marked difference. But it's a difference this team needs. You've got Xavier Johnson, who is also expected to be a leader, but now you've got a leader kind of guiding one of the guys who's supposed to be a leader.
Yeah. And he's a guy who's been there through all kinds of adversity. He's a guy who's been there probably twice as long as any really good IU player in a long time has been there. Because Zeller and Oladipo, I guess other than Yogi, bolted after 2 years. He's a guy who's been there under different coaching staffs. He's played, he was the freshman who had to sort of deal with Justin Smith, and now he's the senior who's going to have to deal with 4 freshmen, including 2 who are 5-star guys who probably have pretty healthy egos and opinions of themselves and how much they should play. And he's going to have to help integrate them into, there are going to be times when they aren't going to have the roles that they might think they should have. And so team chemistry is going to be important on that team next year because you're going to have to find ways to keep 13 guys happy. And that's pretty impossible to do. And there's going to be 2 or 3 guys who aren't going to, if not more, that aren't going to get to play as much as they want to play or expect to play. And as a leader of the team, you're going to have to keep those guys on board.
Well, and you talked about the rotations, substitution rotations. I'm wondering if we're not going to see more of that because the talent is actually better. What he would be bringing off of the bench would be better. And there's a possibility of interchanging that, which I would think that would be the course to go, but that's not my job. I've got 2 questions. They're similar, but completely different. How important to the program was Trace Jackson Davis coming back? Then how important was it to the team? Because those are 2 different questions, actually.
Well, I think it's hugely important to the program because you can already tell just since he made the announcement, it's been a huge amount of publicity for Indiana basketball, definitely locally and even nationally. You're seeing them showing up in ratings and things like that. You're building expectations for next season. It won't be long. People will be putting together stories for preseason magazines next year, and there'll be more talk about IU than there would have been. There'll be talk about him as a potential, preseason All-American and that kind of stuff. So it's huge for the program and the visibility of the program. And as for the team next year, I'd say it's almost equally important because as much as everybody talks about his offense, to me, the way they would have missed him the most was on the defensive end. Because I thought last year he really did make a step forward defensively in terms of his shot blocking ability. I think he was a huge presence around the rim that deterred some people from trying to drive the ball against Indiana. Did he struggle against some of the bigger guys at times, like Dickinson and Kofi Coburn? Yeah, he did, but most guys are. But overall, I thought defensively he had a huge impact on that team. So I think it's bigger in terms of the status of the program, but it's big for the team too.
And now everyone is making their predictions. Of course, fans, as Bob Kravitz said earlier, they've already hanging up that 6th banner, which I'm like, wow, I have them definitely. Yeah, that's what we all keep saying to them. I definitely have them in contention for the Big Ten title without question. But nationally, to go out and beating Kansas, and we'll get an indication because they're going to be playing Arizona and Kansas, potentially a North Carolina or a Duke, maybe Villanova, all in the non-conference.
Yeah. Yes, they are. I look around. I wrote last Friday when he came back that it makes him a front runner in the Big Ten, and I believe that in part because I looked around the rest of the league, and every other team that was good this year loses their best player, and a lot of them lose their best 2 players. So there might be teams that are more talented, but not with experienced talent. And Michigan's going to be good. Purdue's going to be good because they're always good. Michigan State's always good. Wisconsin's always surprisingly good. It's going to be, but the expectations are there. The expectations should be there, and the expectations can be a good thing because it makes teams, the pressure can be good for you. It's how you get better, feeling the pressure. And I mean, Trace Jackson Davis he added to it himself, saying he came back to win a championship, Big Ten and or national. I think national is a stretch, but Big Ten.
I think that run in the Big Ten tournament last year where they beat Michigan and beat Illinois and nearly beat Iowa probably really fueled his hopes that this can actually happen because it damn near did, and they beat Purdue. So they vanquished a lot of things last year, made the NCAA tournament. There was a lot of things that got checked off last year. And then one of the things for Trace Jackson Davis, he has the opportunity to end his career, even though he has another season of eligibility, as probably the 3rd all-time leading scorer, 1st in rebounds and blocks. That is enormous, but without a trophy to go with that of sorts, it would seem a little hollow.
Yeah, I agree. If you want to go down as one of the all-time greats in Indiana, you got to bring home some hardware. And that's where, Chaney didn't get the national championship, but he got Big Ten championships. Yogi got a Big Ten championship, and then you really got to go back to the older guys of Buckner and May and Benson and Isaiah Thomas. And
well, those, when you start going back there, no one graduated there. I had to see when it stopped, but there was a point or a time when no one that graduated did not win a Big Ten title.
Right. That was expected. I mean, it wasn't any mystery. There was none of this losing 9 games to Purdue or never winning a game in Madison, Wisconsin, or losing 3 games in one season to Rutgers or 9 in a row to Michigan and all this other stuff that's gone on. I mean, it just wasn't that way. And then it was kind of refreshing. I think Trace Jackson Davis knows that. I mean, he knows the history of IU basketball, and I think he knows that's part of the reason he's coming back is to change the whole perception of Indiana basketball, of getting it back to be, one of the elite programs in the Big Ten. And I've always said, if you can be one of the best teams in the Big Ten every year, the rest of everything else will work out on its own. If you're good enough to finish in the top 2 or 3 of the Big Ten every year, you'll be in the tournament every year. You'll make more than your share of Sweet 16s, and you'll eventually get to the Final Four.
Exactly. Michigan State type, even though they haven't won it, they've been they're competitive every year, and that type. So now this to me is, and you have to add NIL into it. I know that Trace Jackson Davis said that it did not play into his decision, which I'm not going to say I don't believe that, but maybe he doesn't realize how much it played into it. But I think NIL is going to be the opportunity for Indiana to get back to being the Kentuckys, the Kansas, the Dukes, North Carolinas, and all that. And they're going to, as I just mentioned, have them on the schedule. This schedule is as opportunistic as I can recall. If you talk about Arizona, Kansas, knowing the ACC Big Ten, they're going to make that a marquee game, I would imagine. And and I'm trying to think, can you imagine if they had sent North Carolina to Bloomington, and then if Indiana were to draw Villanova, I guess, in the Gavitt games, what an incredible pre-conference schedule that would be after one that has been so opposite of that after losing since they've lost the Kentucky game.
Exactly right. And it'd be very hard because my sense of it is only one game would be in Bloomington, right? The ACC Big Ten Challenge game would be in Bloomington. The Gavitt game would probably be on the road. The Arizona game's in Las Vegas, and Kansas is in Lawrence. So that'd be tough. And if you could come out of that with 2 wins, that'd be solid information to put on your resume. And last year, the schedule, I think, hurt Indiana. It's one of the reasons that they were one of the last teams in their non-conference. What was their best win? Notre Dame?
Leading up to it, up until the tournament.
Yeah, because Syracuse wasn't as good as they were expected to be, and neither was St. John. So that's what, as you make the step forward with the program, that's what you do. You play some of those games like that. You look at I always thought it was a mistake that Indiana didn't get involved in one of those things that Calipari has Kentucky involved in every year. They don't win every year, but
Champions Classic.
It's branding. You're branding your program as saying we're different than everybody else in the Big Ten. We play in these big events. We play big teams. That's what it's all about. And I think Indiana had a chance to be in the second one that Kentucky organized with North Carolina and UCLA, and because of the Crossroads Classic and for some other reasons, they balked or they turned it down, and it went to Ohio State instead.
Yeah, it was big, which is part of the reason why the Crossroads Classic is no longer around, because Indiana realized, hey, this is hurting us. It's a reason why Kentucky is playing Michigan State in Indianapolis this year.
Yeah.
Indiana is a great recruiting base. You
get it. I get it. There's a lot of people, though, that are friends of mine and stuff that, we don't like. They should play these teams. It's like you're giving Butler. If Indiana beats Butler, and people shrug. When Indiana lost to Butler, the sky was falling. Indiana gained nothing from that, and people say, "Well, Butler went to 2 Final Fours since Indiana did." It's like Butler still isn't Indiana in terms of its national clout. It's already lost almost all the mojo from Brad Stevens. Thad Matta might be able to bring it back, but Indiana wasn't getting anything out of that Crossroads Classic in terms of maybe some goodwill within the state, but in terms of national recognition, it got zero.
Exactly. And now playing Arizona, a week later playing at Kansas.
Yeah.
Right around that time, you're going to be playing the Gavitt game. So this is what draws national eyes to Indiana, not Indiana playing an in-state team that everybody else does not care about. People want to see the big dogs playing the big dogs. I mean, they want those games, and they want them earlier than the NCAA tournament. And Indiana is finally getting back to that. But this is the turning, a great opportunity for Indiana to really turn this Titanic, because it has been bouncing off of icebergs for 2 decades. I
agree. I mean, it's a change in the mentality of, and like Mike Wilson gets it. He knows in the NBA, there's no, I don't know. You play the good teams every year. That's just the way it is. And if you want to be a premier program, you do what the other premier programs do. And it doesn't make Indiana a premier program again yet, because they haven't proved it on the court. But this is a step that they have to take to get back to what it used to be. And I think they get that. I think they embrace that. They're down there recruiting from the IMG. They're getting in the ring with some of the other schools for some of these big name players. And I think there have been times in the past where they kind of shied away from it. And that's not to say they didn't have good players. They did, but they weren't in there trying to slug it out to get some of these top guys.
A little bit of good news just came out for Indiana football fans listening on radio. Joe Smith will complete his 40th and final season in the broadcast booth this year. With thought that he may be stepping away and getting replaced this year, but it looks like he is going to finish out his 40th year in the broadcast booth. So congratulations to Joe. Look forward to getting him on soon.
Didn't want to go out with that 2-10, man.
Can't do it, man. Can't do it. But yeah, he has been there for a long, long time. Been doing pregame, halftime, and all that stuff. So we look forward to talking to him. Hey, if you can stick around, I'd love to come back and talk about Louisville, but also Justin Smith, or Thomas rather. Justin Thomas wins a PGA in an incredible finish.
I can go about 10 minutes. I got to get on the phone with a heating and air conditioning guy. But
you know what? Let's just keep going, and we'll take a break after that. Louisville hires Milt Wagner, a former U of L great, played on the 1980 national championship team. Was he on the 80?
He was on the 86 team.
86 team, okay, with Never Nervous and those guys. But Louisville and Kentucky are the two favorites for DJ Wagner, Milt's grandson, which really puts in point how old I am. But what a great move by Louisville. Kentucky, really, fans are wanting this. I've seen where if Kentucky doesn't land him, that maybe the fans are going to be pretty upset with Calipari. But what a great move by Louisville. Smart.
Yeah, Milt Wagner's wanted to work at Louisville for a long time. Back when his son, DJ's dad, and Milt's son, DeJuan, was a top player in high school, there was talk about Milt going on Denny Crum's staff, but he didn't have his degree. So Calipari, being the shrewd person that he is, brought Milt in sort of a non-coaching role to Memphis, and he got DJ Wagner, which was the start of his big run at Memphis. And then after Milt got his degree, he coached at Memphis briefly. He coached at Texas El Paso. He coached at Auburn. And then when Tony Barbie's staff got fired 6 years ago, Milt actually moved back to Louisville. He's lived here the last 6 years and wanted to be involved in the basketball program, but never happened. Well, Kenny Payne's one of his better friends, has been. They played together for 1 year at U of L, and it's just a natural decision for them to hook up. It's not really he's not an assistant coach. He's a operations and player development and alumni relations guy. So how he will actually be used is still to be determined. But if you know Milt at all, I think he's a guy that today's players can relate to. He's an easygoing guy, and he played, in the McDonald's All-American game with Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing. And he's got experiences all through basketball that I think he can pass on to today's young players and help them out.
How much is that going to obviously help Louisville in their attempt to land DJ?
It can't hurt. It could help.
How does it not? How are you going to say no to your grandfather?
Well, he's got a strong connection to Kentucky, and he's gone to Calipari's basketball camp many, many years. His dad played for Calipari, and I think Kentucky can make the sales pitch that you can come here and do what John Wall did, do what Brandon Knight did, do what De'Aaron Fox did, Tyrese Maxey, all the guys that he's coached, one and done point guards who've gone up and then gone high in the NBA draft. They've got a proven track record. I'm sure that's part of Kentucky's pitch. Whereas Louisville, Kenny Payne is just getting this thing started, and they'll have a great pitch because he's got a strong relationship with Kenny Payne also because of the friendship of Kenny Payne with his grandfather and father. So it'll be a fascinating recruiting scenario to watch unfold this year. And what'll be, it's going to intensify actually this weekend because they'll be here this weekend for the Nike EYBL event at the fairgrounds.
What's your gut telling you?
What's my gut telling me of where he's going to go?
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember the G League's always a part of this too. And the X factor in all this is, and when I did a story on DJ when they played in Indianapolis about a month ago. And DeJuan reminded me, his father, that it's his mother who's going to make the recruiting visits with him. DeJuan is going to be there and talk to him about the basketball part, but his mom is going to make the recruiting visits with him. And I had people tell me, don't overlook Villanova. because he lives right outside Philadelphia, and that's a possibility. But if you ask me today to make a prediction, I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Wow. Well, we'll certainly see. Then also the PGA. Wow, what a crazy finish. Justin Thomas from Louisville was hanging around, as were a couple other guys, and then Mito Pereira decides to pull a Phil Mickelson, and he didn't hit the tent, but he goes into the creek. Man, I'm like, are you kidding
like one
me?
of us. Yeah.
I know, and I'm like, even I'm not that dumb. If I'm in that position, I'm just getting that. Just get out there, baby. Just get out there. Man, that's got to be the hardest thing in the world for the Mito. But Justin Thomas with his second major, second PGA, that's gigantic.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Thomas has been one of the best golfers in the world the last 4 or 5 years. 2017, he won down in North Carolina. Now he wins this year. I think he's played in 13 events this year. He's got 8 top 10 finishes and made every cut. He's top 10 in the FedEx points. I mean, he's an elite player. Has been for a long time, all the way back to St. Xavier High School here before he went to Alabama. And he even was poised enough to get I think he got a shot in at Jimbo Fisher the day after the PGA. They asked him something about
oh yeah,
did he follow Nick Saban's 24-hour rule for celebrating? And he said, yeah, he did that or something like it. But Jimbo Fisher wouldn't know anything about that because he's never won anything or something like that. Some kind of zinger like that. So he's an intense Alabama football fan. And, Justin's dad is a golf pro here in town. So he's
what court? Where is he?
Harmony Landing, which is like about, 15 miles northeast of downtown Louisville, just across the Oldham County line.
I was going to say, I'm not familiar. I have never heard of that course. I have not played it.
Yeah, it's a private club out by North Oldham High School. But, next step for him now is to win another, win a Masters, win a British Open, win a U.S. Open. And 2 already puts you in a special category, but 3 or 4 now you're getting up there with the legendary dudes, Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah, Roy McIlroy trying to get that win to complete his, did not get it done. Rick, I can't thank you enough, man. I hope you have a great rest of your week, a great Memorial Day weekend as well.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, Jim.
You bet. Rick Bozich, Hall of Fame writer, joining us from WDRB.com. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter and WDRB.com. Great coverage. Former graduate of IU. He was here during the night era. Oh man, was there anything else I meant to ask him about that happened? Oh, I guess not. Hey, we got to take a quick break. We'll do that. Come back to finish it out here on Indiana Sports Speed Radio.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
Okay, one more segment.
Uno más segmentos. Inbox. Joe Smith. Oh, I got to get Joe Smith on. Remind me.
Joe Smith.
That's funny because it had already leaked about his replacement because I tweeted it out. And that did not become official. And so it's funny how that stuff goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say anytime you report something, I feel like it always ends up being redacted.
Well, it's just funny. That's they didn't make it official and it got leaked it wasn't supposed to get leaked.
Man, why can't this UK baseball game stop getting rain delayed?
Mm-hmm. Who?
It's the reason that. So, never mind. You don't even know what I'm talking about. I was talking to Joe about this. There's a chance I was going to be able to go into work late today because UK baseball's in the SEC tournament, and they're in a rain delay. But if they weren't rain delayed, the coverage was going to bleed into the Jerry Eves show, and so I wasn't going to have to go in as early. I was going to be able to stay on and slow things down with Joe afterward and kind of show him the post-show stuff a little slower than I normally am able to do.
Oh yeah. I wonder if I have that in here. I bet I don't. Damn. Damn it. Where is that freaking picture?
Jimmy, I'll have about 10 minutes when we come back. If you want to reference TJD clips, you are welcome to.
Oh, yes. Remind me to do that.
Well, I am reminding you right now.
Well, feel free to come on. Like, if you just pop into the screen, it'll probably remind me.
All right, I might do that, and you don't have to use them. But if I notice that you're struggling for topic or content, I'll do that. All right.
Now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Great day already. Bob Kravitz, Kyle Neddenriep, Rick Bozich. Full just announced that Joe Smith will be completing his 40-year broadcasting career for on the IU side this season. After football season, this is his 40th and final season, alongside Don Fisher, who will be completing his 50th season, I believe. So congratulations to Joe. Looking forward to that. Had to get Joe on. Had to get Sharon Wilkerson on as well. Congratulations to Sharon, friend of the program, has been on many times before. So looking forward to that. Lots of good news. So it's a good weekend. Let's see. It's hitting up some of our comments. Joaquin on. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up. I need to get you to catch me up on the comments, man. Where are we? IU has, well, there we go. ESPN has IU football ranked 72nd. Yeah, there's no reason to rank them anywhere else. Where would you rank them? I wonder who Indiana is going to draw in the Big Ten Challenge. That's going to be ACC Big Ten Challenge. That's Indiana could wind up with an unbelievable pre-conference or non-conference pre-conference schedule, like I've been talking about. You already have. They're still completing that Arizona game, so that's not been made official yet, although we keep saying it. But that should be taking place the week before the Arizona game that is on the books on the 17th in Lawrence at the Fog. But man, you talk about what could be a wicked schedule for Indiana. It could be next year. You go 2-2, you're going to be fine. You go 3-1, you're going to come out of that smelling like a rose. Cannot go 1-3, although there will be only one game. That's at home, as Rick pointed out. So there's that. What are your weekend plans? I will be here. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I will be back on Friday to do the show, but I will be traveling tomorrow, so I can't be here. And I do want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day weekend, even though we're not there yet. But I again want to salute our veterans. Can't salute them enough. We should probably have 4 Memorial Day weekends a year. Everything we do is because of them. Everything. If you look back over the years, man, a lot of people made a lot of sacrifices, serious sacrifices. So thank you very much. Another new name. Hey, Larry, how are you? Appreciate you hitting us up on the show. Yeah, talking about that rule as that was mentioned by Tim earlier. Again, there is no rule in regards to relatives and having coaching and players. Again, Fran McCaffrey is a perfect example. His sons play for him. Look how many coaches' sons have played for them. Do you think that they would hire Milt Wagner if they're trying to land DJ Wagner if they couldn't do it? No, absolutely not. I mean, the last Oklahoma State did that a couple of years ago with a big time recruit, although they were a team that did get in trouble. It wasn't for that. But yeah, there's no rule of any kind. Are you kidding me? You got the wild west going on, and you think the NCAA cares about a relative plan? No way. Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. But I'm wondering how much difference there's going to be in college basketball this year. How is the transfers, the changes? Is there going to be a power shift? There's not going to be much of a power shift, but I haven't heard of any teams that are kind of off the radar that are all of a sudden blowing up. I mean, Indiana would be the closest to that, but they're not blowing up. They're kind of just getting better. Joaquin teaches at your school. So good thing you're not in school now, man. I hate that we're going to lose you during the year, but you can always catch up on you can always listen to us. So, Madison Cub. Well, congratulations, Joaquin. We appreciate you being on here. Tim's going camping at the horse park. Glad to him. Mike Ham, as a veteran, thank you. But this weekend is all about his brothers and sisters that didn't come home. Absolutely. And those are the ones that made the greatest sacrifice that I was referring to. So, again, thank you guys. Can't thank you enough. But congratulations to Joe Smith as well. As it was just announced, like I said, that he will be completing his 40th season in the broadcast booth. So I'm so happy for him. I have to give him a call here in a minute and congratulate him. Hubers tonight. We'll have all of that for you. As a matter of fact, we'll have it up on YouTube, of course. And are we doing is there a show tomorrow, John? You're doing a show still, right?
Yeah, so me and Dustin will probably do a shortened version of the show tomorrow. Yes.
Well, don't shorten it. I'm going to be able to join. I'm just after 10 for a little bit. So, but yeah.
Well, at that point, the show will be about over if that were the case.
Well, another half an hour.
We'll discuss it. What we're saying on the air right now is not final, but we will have something for you tomorrow in some capacity.
Well, of course, we're just letting everybody know what we're doing because we're never off. If you notice, yeah, that's not something I like doing ever.
We will be off for Memorial Day.
Yes, we will be off for Memorial Day, but we will have all the stuff from tonight, from Huber's, from the Woody Allen Show. I got to give it up to Tim. That's a great name. The Woody Allen Show tonight. Tom Allen, Woody, Mike Woodson, and Tom Allen. So we'll have all of that, interviews with both of those coaches and anything else that may go on, but I don't expect anything other than that to happen. But it's just a big deal that's sold out, 900 people down there at Huber's Winery. So looking forward to getting down and hitting up the old neighborhood. Let's see. What did Pete say? John, looking forward to you and Dustin, you guys. Oh, what am I, chopped liver? I'm just kidding. Yeah, me too. And I'm disappointed beyond belief that I'm not going to be here to be with Dustin. It could.
We all know how much time we have left with him in terms of.
Well,
I know that I'm being morbid saying it like that, but
not in that regard. He just took a new position. He has been with Saturday Tradition for I forget how long, but a while.
Now, don't say what he's taken. He hasn't announced what he's taken yet. He just announced that he's not with Saturday Tradition anymore.
Yeah,
won't be with them.
He's taken a different position. So we'll see how it does. But hopefully that does not change things. But we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting down to seeing everybody at Starlight tonight at Huber's, and we'll have all that for you here tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Go out and have yourselves a great day. I can't thank Bob Kravitz from The Athletic enough, as always. Just a Hall of Famer. Kyle Neddenriep from Indy Star, and Rick Bozich, Hall of Fame writer from WDRB.com. As always, we thank those guys. Thanks to John, the producer, and Joe Lincoln, who is he's studying up to be your what do you call it? Your underling? What do they call that? The understudy. Your understudy.
Yeah, it's you can call it whatever. Bullpen.
There you understudy. There you go. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to being, but most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, there's no reason for us to be here. Back tomorrow to do it all again, regardless. Until then, I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.